women in my family, they teach you, oh, if you want a boyfriend, you have to look this way. And if you want a partner, you have to do this, right? And all of those things I genuinely enjoy. So I turned it around to do it for myself because I want to feel confident for me, right? I could care less about the male gaze. So that's part of like Latino culture that I have flipped, but I am very thankful for, because so many queer people and my people who, like, let's say are trans femme or whatever, I'm the first one to teach them the makeup things.
Aww.
Like they come to me, they're like, oh my God.
You're listening to Cultureful, where strangers become neighbors. I'm your host, Jess Lin. Today, I'm sharing the first half of a two-part conversation with Michelle, a 32-year-old client success manager in tech. Michelle is from Pereira, Colombia, and is now living in Atlanta. Michelle identifies as Latina, queer, and polyamorous. Together, we explore how those identities intersect and interact. In part 1, we look at Michelle's foundation, her Latina identity, and how it shapes her approach to life and relationships. We talk through her beautiful memories of learning femininity from her mother, and how Michelle takes the rituals she was raised with and reframes them to fit her own modern values. I originally set out to explore a story of romantic love, but as our conversation unfolded, it became clear that hers is a story of so much more. It is a story of loving yourself, loving your family, and loving your culture. Before we dive in, a quick note. At our guest's request, we've replaced certain names to respect the privacy of those mentioned. If you see a blur in the video or hear a slight shift in the audio, know that it's our way of keeping things confidential. As always, the video version is on YouTube. Here is part 1 of my conversation with Michelle. Welcome to the show, Michelle. It's great to have you.
Hey, Jess. I am super excited to be here.
Awesome. I'm really grateful you're here and you're willing to open up and share about your love life. One of the most personal topics there is, right? And so I really appreciate that you're coming on to talk about that. You're queer, poly, and Latina. And we're also going to talk about the intersection and interaction of all those identities. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm very excited to talk about this. But, you know, you said you're queer, poly, Latina. I would say that I'm Latina first.
Okay.
Right? I would say I am so Latina first. like that, like, I feel like I'm Latina, queer, poly.
Within the LGBTQ plus community, queer has come to be an expansive umbrella term for anyone who doesn't identify under rigid binaries, whether that's straight or gay or male or female. It's a way to describe the full spectrum of sexual and gender minorities without needing a single restrictive box. Poly is short for polyamory or polyamorous, which simply means having multiple, honest, consensual, romantic relationships at the same time.
If I would really, like, for me, being polyamorous, I feel, and hope is the least interesting thing about me. But I'm so excited to have this conversation. And, like, I kind of wanted to, like, lay that out to give a sense of, you know, how these things kind of matter to me and how they lay out in my life.
Awesome. Yeah, that's so interesting. I guess I didn't really think of the order as that relevant. But
no,
then
you're
when
good.
It's your identities, like, it does make sense, like, that the order, you know, like, that's really good to know. And we will be kind of going through, starting with family and starting with, you know, Latina aspect of your identity.
Yeah.
Perfect segue. Yeah, I want to start with family. Tell me about your family, what your family's like, and who was in your life when you were growing up.
Yeah. So I have both of the most amazing families a person can truly ask for. I have, you know, both parents who were present in my life for the most part, right? I have 2 siblings. I have an older sibling, and then I have a half sibling that came in later in my life. I was about 21 or 22 when they were born. And then on my dad's side, I have 8 aunts and uncles, and we have about 20 cousins. And then on my mom's side, there's 8 aunts and uncles and about 15 cousins. And then on my dad's side, there's 13 great grandchildren. So, like, we have a big Latino Catholic family in
Mm-hmm.
kind of that sense that people imagine our family to be, or Latino families to be. And then both our families are very much matriarchs.
Mm.
So I grew up with strong women in my life. And I think that truly reflects in my life as well. I'm very lucky and constantly say that I have the most loving families ever.
When you say matriarchal, tell me more about that.
Mhm. Yeah. So on my dad's side of the family, my grandfather passed away from a stroke when he was about 42. And my grandma was widowed with 8 kids at about the age of like 33.
Wow.
Right. And she was, she didn't she didn't get an education. She knew how to, we're talking, my grandma was born in 32. So at that time, women, as long as you knew how to read and write, and even then, like some people didn't even care about that. You have to take care of the farm, you have to take care of the kids, your education isn't really valued. So she met my grandfather. They got married, and she was young. She tells the story of her getting married at 5 in the morning because that's what people would do. People would just kind of like get married at 5 in the morning. Nobody would see it. Their dress would be black. She had a black dress.
So they eloped? What do you
Yeah,
mean no one would
it's
see
not
it?
an elope. It's not an elope. It's more of like things would just happen and nobody would talk about it, right? It's more of like, oh yeah, they're married now, and that's it. Like it was it wasn't like this big extravagant thing that we
Ah.
see now. It's kind of more like, okay, they got married, they're going to go off and have children now, and they're going to go off and do their thing. Relationships and dating and those kinds of things are just not talked about. It's more of
Mm.
like they just kind of just happen, and we move forward with that. To be honest, like once my grandfather passed away, she was poor, and she only got what is 15,000 pesos, which now I don't know what that equals, but she bought a house. She was smart enough to know that she needed shelter for her 8 children,
Mm-hmm.
and she survived. I mean, my father was poor, very, very poor growing up. He tells the story that he didn't have like his own pair of shoes until he was like about 6. So because she was in a position where she had to survive, truly, my grandmother has always been a no BS kind of person. She's always been just kind of this very strong presence. And she did raise her 8 children. And a couple of them went to school, or a couple of them went to college. Some of them didn't, just out of plain out survival. But now we are a huge family. A lot of us live here in the States. We've gone to college in our family. We're about to have like the first kind of PhD graduates. All of us kind of went to college, right? We went from my grandmother's generation, who was incredibly poor and impoverished, to now being able to have economic mobility, and everybody has a house and education and a job and all those things. And it was all really out of the leadership of my grandma. And it's like, hey, no bullshit. We have to do what we have to do.
Mm-hmm.
No excuses, very cutthroat. And that reflects in me today. I'm that way with myself, because that's the example that I had growing up with the women around me. On my mom's side, they had a lot more traditional. My grandfather was present, he worked. My grandmother, took care of the kids and all that stuff.
After exploring her roots, we shifted our focus to the personal, starting at the beginning with her first experience of falling in love.
I had a high school sweetheart. And what's crazy is we ended up getting married.
Tell me about that relationship. Was that your first love?
Was that my first love? Yes, that was my first love. It wasn't my first obsession, like lust, if you will, but he was my first love. my first long-term relationship, the first guy that like I went to Catholic school, so I would get out of school and he'd be waiting for me and walk me home.
Uh-huh.
The very like stereotypical telenovela kind of love where he would come and see me and we would sit at the door of my house
Uh-huh.
and we would just talk and things like that. He was in college, I was in high school, and I know people are like, whoa, what's the age difference there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, it's, it is what it is. I don't think there's as much of a stereotype with that, or an issue with that back home. I know that sounds terrible, but it's true.
What was the age
I was
difference?
about I think we are 2 years apart. But when we're talking about,
Yeah.
college and high school, that's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
still, that's what it was, and we loved each other.
Mm-hmm.
And we were together for about 3 years. And when it came to time where I was about to graduate high school, we decided to get married. My dad was not happy about it, but my mom supported it. My dad did not go to my wedding. I had
Mm.
a small little courthouse wedding, and it was crazy. Now that I think about it, it was insane to get married at the age of 18.
Why? Just because of the age?
Because I did not know what was coming. Like, when you make huge transitions in life, you change as a person, like in and out, and what you want completely changes, and everything of who you are changes. And when him and I, I moved and I was like, oh my God, I'm married and there's all these new things around me. And I was monogamous at the time. And
And he did not come with you.
yeah, so it was like, oh my God, I am this whole new person because him and I got married in December. I moved in January.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like
Oh
quick
my gosh.
turnaround. And yeah. And
Oh.
when I came here, I was like, oh my God, I don't live with my parents anymore. I have nobody to tell me what to do. And I'm married? What? Like, it was insane.
Where were you living? Who were you living with? Were you living alone? And like, what were you up to?
Yeah, so I moved in with my brother to Atlanta, and that didn't work out well. I'm 18. He is 25 or
Uh-huh.
24. And we just did not get along. Him and I are very, very different people. So I moved in with him. It didn't work out. And then I moved in with my aunt, who opened up her space for me because things were just too chaotic. And then I lived in Athens, Georgia for a couple of years, but I was on my own and moved off to my own little apartment with roommates within like 6 months of me moving.
And were you working? Were you in school?
I was a cashier at this little spot called Calientitos. I still go there. It's really good. And I was not in school. It still took me about a year and a half to 2 years, but I knew I wanted to go to college. I knew I wanted to get a degree, and I did. It took me a while to be able to like afford school and kind of get all that ready.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with like $200. My parents were like, "Here's $200. Go figure it out." I mean, I was thrown to the sharks, and and think about it, like comparing that to my grandma that had, was widowed with 8 kids. Like, if we think about like
Yeah.
those different big moments,
Mm-hmm.
that different women, like we just instinctually know what to do. It's like, all right, figure it out, suck it up, Buttercup, let's go.
Yeah. So at what point do you and your ex-husband decide to end it?
I was about, I want to say I want to say I was maybe like 24. So it still took a while.
It's like 6 years. Yeah, that's a
Yeah, it is a while. It is a while. But, he moved to New York. We would visit each other. We still loved each other. I would say that I still love him to this day,
mm-hmm.
but not in a romantic way, in the person that he married versus the person that I am now. I'm a queer polyamorous woman. He's a traditional Hispanic monogamous guy, like it was not it. But yeah, we officially ended it when I was around that age. But, we would still visit each other throughout the years and see each other and spend time together and stuff like that. But we had to end it because, at some point you have to just move on, you know?
Yeah. After the break, Michelle's first queer relationship. Cultureful is 100% independent, and we rely on listeners like you to keep these intersectional stories coming. If you're finding value in Michelle's story today, please consider joining our Season 3 supporters at the link in our show notes. And now, back to my conversation with Michelle. Like, at what point did you come into your queer identity?
Oh my God, I always knew I was queer. I remember as a kid when, how like kids have expressed themselves like through games and play and stuff like that, right? And games like, oh, we're going to play house, we're going to play kitchen, we're going to play doctor, whatever. Like I would always run to my girlfriends and be like, we're going to be spouses, we're going to be together. No, we're going to be the head of the household. Like I never ran to the boys, like husband and right, to play kind of that role or any, like none of that. Like I was always very, very drawn to girls and women. But, like I would also, have crushes on guys later on, but it was always very natural for me to, like, as a queer person, like, I don't think that there was, an awakening when I was a teenager. No, it was always there as a kid, for sure.
Actually, you were attracted to the girls and women before you were attracted to also the men, it sounds like.
Yeah, I thought boys were cute. Girls were cute. I did not grow up with, like, I'm sure now, for example, let's say if there's a kid in my position, maybe they are friends with somebody who's trans, right? And find themselves attracted to somebody who's more genderqueer and fluid, right? I did not have that example growing up. So I came to realize that I was pansexual last year,
Wow.
Yeah. So, or just like straight up just queer last year. Before last year, I thought I was just bi. And I was like, no, I am so queer in all the ways and always, always attracted to everyone, regardless of gender, as a kid and growing up and as a teenager. And I remember I was like 14 and I was walking with my friend and we were just walking. And then this like super cute girl just passes by and I'm just like looking at her. And then I turn around to my friend and I'm like, I'm attracted to women. I am attracted to women. And she looks at me. She's like, okay, cool.
She's like, and?
She's like, love that. And then later on, when I started dating women and like having like serious relationships with queer people, she was like, oh my God, when I see pictures of you in like queer relationships or like on Facebook or whatever, I remember that moment when we were walking down, the street in the neighborhood, just like, kids playing soccer and you're just like, I am so attracted to women. So yeah, there was never a moment. There were definitely, and now as an adult looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, like it was just always so natural for me.
Yeah. Tell me about your first serious relationship with a woman.
Oh, my first serious relationship with a woman. So he has transitioned ever since. So now his name is Mark, and I want to respect that. And I want to like acknowledge it, right? I don't want to misgender him or anything like that. But at the time, we dated, and this was pre-transition, and I fell in love so hard. It was the first introduction to a queer couple to my family. I brought them over to my family. It was the first time that like a lesbian couple was introduced to like everyone. And it's funny because we only dated for a very short amount of time. Then we broke up.
Tell the whole story. How'd you meet? Sounds like it's a very significant relationship. Like, just Give us the whole story.
So I met them at a bar through another former partner of mine, Susie. She introduced us, and they went to high school together. They were part of the Gay Straight Alliance. They met, and, she brought Mark to the bar, and I met Mark at and I was like, whew, who is that? Like, wow, it was just like so magnetic. It was just, phew. And I can't remember if we went on a date or anything like that. I know we just started like hanging out, and I fell in love with them so hard. They were on my mind 24/7. I saw my whole life with them. And I finally, like, it was so reassuring. I finally felt so at home in a relationship. I felt understood. I felt very affirmed in that relationship because, it was a queer relationship, you know? And I remember for Valentine's Day, I got somebody to sneak into their apartment and put roses from the door to the bed. And I bought them this beautiful, beautiful dress. Like, I looked at all the sizes in their closet and make sure that I had the perfect dress for them. And they wore it. And there was a note that said, "I'll pick you up at 7." Like,
oh my gosh, Casanova.
I
my
have
gosh.
game. I have game.
Yeah.
Like, I have so much game.
So romantic.
Like, yes, when I am in a queer relationship, when I date a femme, I love making them feel like my girl. Like, I love doing all the things that like femmes love, right? And being treated like a girl, and I open the door, and like, I love doing that
princess
shit. Like,
treatment.
It's just, yes, total princess treatment. Total princess treatment. Like, I love doing it, and it makes me feel so happy, and I feel like, and I came out to my family. I did everything. Like, I was like, this is it for me. Like, I am finally right. And I never felt that in my marriage. I never felt that in any way. I came out to my family. I came out to my friends and just everybody who just didn't know. I introduced them to everybody.
Wow.
So, and it's really crazy because, we ended up breaking up. They went to Vanderbilt for school, and they started, they went on with the rest of their life. And I went on with mine. I think that, in relationships, especially when we're young, when we date, it usually doesn't work out. We kind of hit this point. It's like, okay, cool. I'm going to take this crossroad now. I have to move on and grow. And, I'm not going to settle down at the age of like 25 or 23 or whatever,
I mean, especially if you don't go together. Like, a lot of times, even when you do go together to like a major move, but my gosh, when you don't, it's like people change and grow in different directions.
Exactly. And it's crazy because now we haven't seen each other in person in like over 8 or 10 years. It's been a very long time, but we have connected like online, and now they're polyamorous as well, and queer, of course. And there are so many ways in which we developed later on that we have in common. So yeah, but they were the first like queer relationship that it turned my world upside down, and it was affirming, and it cleared a lot of things for me.
You're talking a lot about like how you felt in the relationship. I'm trying to picture like the two of you together. So before Mark transitioned, what were they like?
Yeah. Mark was, so again, we're speaking pre-transition, right? So if we're going to talk about kind of like that femme piece, right? At the time where I met them, they were what we call in the lesbian world a chapstick. So tomboy. So there's lipstick, chapstick, stud, right? So a chapstick is a person, a femme, a lesbian who can wear a dress and heels and be super femme, but can also be very tomboyish and like, the cap backwards and like very kind of mask, right? It's that person where there's kind of like that gender fluidity thing, which I find extremely attractive.
Hence because chapstick doesn't have the color.
Chapstick.
Okay.
Right. Exactly.
And how do you identify? Do you identify
I'm a
as
total lipstick. I'm a
lipstick?
total
Okay.
lipstick lesbian. 100. I'm a huge fan, and
Uh-huh.
I even have a lipstick tattoo in the back of my neck.
The third word was, so it was chapstick, lipstick, and what's the third word?
A stud.
Stud.
So stud is like lesbians who are like firmly masc.
So chapstick is the one that kind of goes between both.
Yeah, they're kind of fluid. They were very jockey. I haven't seen them in a long time. So
Mm-hmm.
they were super jockey. They were an MMA fighter for a little
Whoa.
bit, tatted up, long black hair. They had liner. They would always have like this black liner.
Uh-huh.
Beautiful, stunning. I'm a tall person. I'm like 5'9". We were the same height, and they were just hot. They were just so hot. and and
The attraction was like 10 out of 10. It was like, and then
yeah.
what about like personality?
Personality wise, so they at the time wanted to get their PhD in neuroscience, and now they are not down that route at all, but
Uh-huh.
they were super obsessed with like neuroscience and wanted to go to school for it. And they had their own apartment. They lived by themselves. So I would go over to their apartment all the time. And, we would cook dinner. I would, the Latina would come out in me. So I would like
Uh-huh. What do you
clean
mean
their
by
house
that?
for
Okay.
them. Oh my God. It's so funny because like, I fight gender norms and I'm like this like strong person and queer and polyamorous and all these
Uh-huh.
things. But I love cleaning my partner's house and space for them.
Is that one of your love languages?
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
love cooking for my partner
Acts
and
of
like
service.
looking, yes, like I love it's kind of like this thing that like, as a Latina, we're raised to kind of show up and I like I'm like, oh, I kind of roll my eyes as I say this, but it's so funny because it's such a guilty pleasure. Like you as a woman, as a cisgender woman, you have to clean for your partner and you have to cook for your partner, you have to look good, and you have to take care of yourself, and you have like all these like check boxes that you have to fill.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate admitting it, but like I love doing all those things. I love
Uh-huh.
but I do it by choice. I don't do it because it's expected of me.
You enjoy them.
I enjoy it. I enjoy taking
Hmm.
care of myself and looking pretty for myself. My partner gets to enjoy that. I love cooking dinner and having dinner ready for them for when they come home. I love cleaning the house. Like I like these stereotypical gender roles that people fill. I genuinely enjoy them for me, and I
Mm-hmm.
genuinely enjoy like those acts of service for my partner.
Oh, mm-hmm.
And I feel like I did that. I would do that for them, every once in a while, and it felt very like, ooh, like I loved doing it. And we would go out on dates and stuff like that. And
What kind of dates?
my gosh, this happened so long ago. Um, we would we'd go out to eat. We would cook. I mean, we were both like college students at the
Mm-hmm.
time, so it's not like we could afford much. But we'd go out to eat. We'd go to this little bar, and we would hang out with friends. They got me into Drag Race,
Uh-huh.
yeah, which is RuPaul's Drag Race. We would watch Drag Race and cuddle in bed, and just kind of do all the queer gay things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I fell in love with them so hard. And then, we didn't work out the first time. And then we saw each other again a year later and we dated again and they were moving off to Vanderbilt. So it was a quick turnaround and we didn't date for a long time. But I would say that was my first queer love where I truly fell in love with somebody, where I truly like I came out, I wanted to like really do everything. But later on, I realized that they were just the first step into my queerness. I've had so much, I've been fortunate enough to have so much queer love ever since then that
Mm-hmm.
has been as loving and fulfilling and beyond. But now I joke and I say, I don't date a guy if he can't kiss another guy. Like I don't. If you're like super super straight,
Uh-huh.
like it ain't for me. It ain't for me. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It sounds like the Mark chapter was like a pivotal chapter and
mhm.
big, deep love that led to other things. But, to like wrap up the Mark chapter, when it ended the second time, I guess when it ended the first time too, like, did you go through a big heartbreak?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Huge, deep heartbreak. Oh yeah, I was heartbroken for months. I mean, for a very, very long, actually for like a long time. And not only that, I kind of always wondered if I was ever going to have queer love again.
Mm.
If I was like, oh, am I ever going to fall in love with a queer person again? Like, I really hope so, you know? I think
Oh.
like at the age,
Uh-huh.
like when you're like 20, you think like any ending is like the ending and
Yeah, yeah.
truly like,
True, true.
right? Like any ending is just the end of the world. And
Yeah.
yeah, I was very, very heartbroken when we didn't work out. And I decided to enter queer spaces. I started going to gay bars and I started surrounding myself around queer people, which for me has later become my home. Like it is. I feel at home. I feel safe in queer spaces, in queer, polyamorous, non-traditional spaces. I've tried to
Mm.
be in spaces where everybody is kind of more traditional and a bit more uptight, and I just don't belong there, and it doesn't work out. Um, so and then later on, I realized like, okay, cool, like perhaps Mark and I did not work out, but I mean, I did big things. I came out to my family, which is a big Latino family. And at the beginning, I remember my cousin would be like, you don't have to like kiss in front of everybody, right? Like I like and she sat
They
me down.
she said that to
Yeah,
you?
and she sat me down. She's like, I know this is just a phase. You're going to end up with a man. Like it, like those kinds of things.
Oh,
My
oh.
mom, my mom was like, don't, whatever you do, just don't bring a woman to introduce to the family. And I told her,
Oh,
hey, it's okay. I just don't have to visit you. Like if for you that is a problem, if I
wow.
if I fall in love with a queer person and I want to bring them to my culture, because for me, like sharing my culture with the person I love, oh my god, that for me is like everything. Like
Mm-hmm.
I love speaking in Spanish with a person. I love taking them to like the Colombian market or the Latino market and like showing them everything, especially if they're not like familiar with it. I just love it so much. I love sharing my culture and the music. And it's just like Latino culture, Hispanic culture is just great. Like it's just wonderful. Like our music, our food, our
Uh-huh.
folklore, like our everything about Latino culture is just absolutely
Holidays,
awesome.
celebration.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, our energy, our games, our traditions, like
Yeah.
yeah.
That's why I've been spending years working on my Spanish. Still a work
Yeah.
in progress, but yeah, there's just so
Yeah.
many things that are so vibrant, rich, deep, all of
Mhm.
it, right?
Truly, truly. And I'm not going to sacrifice that because my mom feels uncomfortable. And I know that she doesn't feel uncomfortable herself. She's actually she'll get somebody's pronouns in a heartbeat. She
Wow.
had, oh yeah, and she's like in her 60s. And a lot of her students, she's a cosmetology professor. She,
Okay, this is also why your makeup is like on point. Okay, now I know. And your
yeah,
skin.
yeah. My mom was very intentional. Yeah.
Yeah, sign up to the listener when I was dropping off the like when we were doing the tech check yesterday, and I was
yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm gonna get the same level of cute as I am today because I'm not really good at makeup, And then
yeah.
Michelle, you were like, oh, I can help you with that sometime, And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, we'll take you up
Yeah.
on that. But anyway, okay,
Yeah.
so this explains some things for me.
Yeah. I was always taught to, it's really sad, but I really turned it around. Like women in my family, they always said, Michelle, take care of yourself, look good, take care of your hair and your makeup and your skin and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. Now, later on, I realized it's for the male gaze. They teach you, oh, if you want a boyfriend, you have to look this way. And
Mm.
if you want a partner, you have to do this, right? And all of those things I genuinely enjoy. So I turned it around to do it for myself because I want to feel confident for me,
Mm-hmm.
right? I could care less about the male gaze. Um, so that's part of like Latino culture that I have flipped, but I am very thankful for, because so many queer people and my people who, like, let's say are trans femme or whatever, I'm the first one to teach them the makeup things. Like,
Aw.
they come to me, they're like, oh my God, Pebbles, like, come and sorry, my nickname is Pebbles. I go
Mhm.
by Pebbles in most circles, but oh yeah, I love teaching. Like, the my mom had was so intentional about teaching me these things. And when we had our girl time, this is how you do your hair, this is how you do your
Mm.
makeup, this is how you do it, this is how you dress, like those kinds of things. And those moments, taking out why they happened, they were so precious for me. They were these moments between my mom and I that we shared, and she showed me femininity, and
Mhm.
she shared it with me, the joys of being a woman. I love being a girl. Perhaps part of it, yeah, sure, it's like, hey, this is so that you can look good to set expectations of society, which is terrible. But also I have the joy of just being a confident person that takes care of myself, and I love to have good style, and I love to look good for me, and I don't do it for anybody else. You give and you take sometimes.
I think that's a great place to take a break.
Okay, I'm here for that. Stretch break.
That was part one of my conversation with Michelle. I loved her reflection on those early lessons of femininity and her wisdom that with culture and tradition, you give and you take. She shows us that tradition doesn't have to be wholesale discarded just because parts of it feel outdated. Instead, we can keep the precious parts and update what we need to. I believe that culture is living and breathing, and that it can and does grow with us. In part two, we dive into the complexities of Michelle's adult life, from introducing a partner to her Catholic family to the golden rule she uses to navigate polyamory and her queer identity. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss that conclusion. If you're enjoying season 3, please consider becoming a supporter. This show exists to explore, highlight, and reflect on underrepresented perspectives and the messy, beautiful ways they intersect with our cultures. If you believe in this kind of social impact storytelling, join Cultureful Season 3 supporters today. Your contribution keeps this show independent and ensures that these voices have a home. This week, a special shout out to founding supporters Jackson Evans and Judy Thornhill. Thank you for your support and powering this kind of storytelling. You can find the link to donate, the video version of this episode, and how to connect with Michelle in the show notes. And a big thank you to Quinn O'Brien for connecting me and Michelle. Her story is a perfect fit for Cultureful. This episode was produced and edited by me, with advising and executive production support from Ruben Nana Ruben. Thank you for listening. I'm Jess Lin. Take care of yourself and your neighbors, and I'll see you soon.